Hello, World of Tank Blitzers, it's Littlefinger, and I've got a full tank review on the KV-2. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting on this one. This is a Tier 6 Soviet heavy tank with the 152 millimeter DERP gun, which is does a lot of damage at Tier 6, especially to some of those Tier 5 tanks. But anyway, I think you see people talking about this tank as kind of a love-hate relationship. For me, primarily, it was a hate-hate. Not a big fan of this tank. If I want to drive a derp gun, I'm going to get out my SG-152. Not a lot of redeeming qualities, I didn't think, with this tank. But anyway, let's take a quick look at the tech tree. And we're coming from the KV-1. And really, this is a tank you can completely skip altogether, would be my recommendation, because it obviously doesn't lead you directly down any line. You can go from the KV-1 to the T-150 there at the bottom, and then head on up to the IS-4 on the heavy line. But it can be fun, derping Tier 5 tanks, so I think that's why you see it quite frequently on the battlefield. We look at the characteristics here, and of course, you're going to have to purchase with your experience points the 152 millimeter M10. But taking a quick look at this, you've got 115 pen, which does 640 damage, and you've got 95 HE, which does 960 damage. So as you're going through your decisions to take your shots, you want to look at your HE first. Then if you're not going to pen, you're only going to do splash damage, check out your AP and then your AP premium, because obviously there's a drop down in your damage you're going to do. And then if you can't pen on either of those two, you're going to want to go back to HE and just get some splash damage if you have to. 22-second reload. So you want to treat this like an auto loader in some respects. Make sure you're playing it behind cover. You just peek out, you take your shot, you back up, wait your 22 seconds, and repeat. Just real quick here on the ammunition, I'm running 13 rounds AP, 10 of my premium. Make sure you're buying that with credits, not gold, and 13 rounds of HE. I mean, that's primarily going to be the rounds that you use for the most part, but at 22 seconds, you're really not going to use these full 36 rounds of ammunition. Equipment, looking at what I'm running calibrated shells, primarily because that gives us 10% additional to our HE shells. So you can see that +9 there gets us up to 95. I'm running improved modules, improved optics, enhanced gun lane drive. The aim time on this is really bad. So is the dispersion too. You know, I could see in some regard an argument for using supercharged, going to make the shell velocity a little bit faster. You'll notice some of these shots at distance with this slow HE shell just completely misses, even if you're aimed in. So I could see a little bit of an argument for that, but I still think overall probably your aim time is best. Now, because I wanted to get down to 3rd level, I went ahead and did improved assembly, get 55 additional hit points. The armor on this isn't great, and for the most part, people are going to be shooting the sides of your turret, which is your biggest weak spot. Engine accelerator, not a very fast tank, so obviously will help out there. But I wanted to get down to the vertical stabilizer again, helping out with that aim time. You could run the refined gun, which is going to get your dispersion down under 0.5, but for me, I preferred the vertical stabilizer. Alright guys, so looking at Blitzstar's tank compare, I've got the KV-2 with a 152 millimeter gun on the left. I've also pulled up the KV-2 with a 107 millimeter gun, the pencil. And now the T-150 and the ARL VK3601 and M6. So first I wanted to compare the two guns on the KV-2. The 152, the reason you play it is for the DERP gun. So if we're just using HE, you can see here our penetration's 86, but our DPM is 2650. So you can see why people would want to play this. I mean, you can do a lot of damage in a short amount of time with that gun, provided your HE penetrates and you're not just doing splash damage. Other people might say to me, well, why don't you use the 107mm gun? Well, why even play this tank? Because I can get the 107mm gun on the T150, and I'm one tank closer to getting the IS-7. So while the only difference there between the T150 and the KV-2 is you've got a faster rate of fire, which is giving you the extra DPM. So looking at it in comparison to all the other tanks, you can see our pen numbers on a standard AP round is much lower, 50%, 30%, 40% lower than these other tanks. But on the flip side, at 640 damage, we are doing 50 to 60% more damage per shot. Big note here, 525 on your shell velocity, and that is obviously considerably slower than these other guns, which you're really going to notice it in this tank if you're shooting long distance shots. Aim time obviously is the worst. Dispersion again is the worst. Outside of that, you've got 7 degrees of gun depression. It's not horribly unreliable in terms of mobility. You've got a 35 kilometer per hour top speed. It feels like a heavy. It drives like a heavy. You've got 75 millimeters of hull armor on the front and the sides. You do have that big gun mantlet, which will give you some bounces for anyone shooting the front of your turret there. But outside of that, for a heavy, it does not have a lot of armor. So with that being said, we'll jump into some gameplay, and I'll show you some of the things I liked and some of the things that frustrated me about this tank. So first game I'm going to show is bottom tier on Himmelsdorf. Obviously this is a supremacy game, and with any chance you get running a 152 millimeter derp gun where you want to be shooting HE, I recommend going to where those tanks you want to shoot are going to be. So to me, I want to go to the rails. I want to get any light or medium tanks that may be over there, and so I can maximize my damage that I get per shot. So as you can see, we're halfway through loading this gun, and I'm pushing up to A. I've got a couple of teammates down there that are just shooting wildly into who knows what. They're capping A, and my guys are just sitting back. So while not the smartest move in the world, I want to get into A before this guy caps and runs away, and my team hasn't even spotted him yet. So they're halfway to capturing B, and so we get a spot there. We're going to get our second spot right here. We're just going to hide behind the rail car there. Panther's going to shoot, and we're going to try to get a shot into his backside. And one of the things you really got to watch out for with this tank, the turret is really slow. So getting a shot on a moving tank is difficult. And you really want to stay away from aiming close to the tracks. That is going to eat up a lot of the damage, and you're not going to penetrate. You're going to track them, do like 300 or so in damage. And you see a lot of yellow there, so I'm going to switch over to AP, get that front plate, which I know is the weak spot, and finish him off. We're doing over 600 damage with a standard AP round, and 960 if I can get an HE to penetrate. ISU is 745. I'm looking for that weak spot, and we find it right there, 745. So, this is why you play this gun, this tank, so that you can get those big rolls, those 500, 600, 700 rolls. But it's not always going to happen every shot. So KV-1S there is doing a nice job staying behind the hill, and I see that this tiger's coming out, and so I just want to get as close to him as I can, and then hopefully get a shot into the back side here. And sure enough, there's the shot. 914 plus fire, 999 on one shot. So again, this is why you play this tank. So now we need to get B, and there's the Comet. Not a lot outside of tracks to show there, so We only do 470 on that shot. We've now captured back A and B, and I still have not taken a shot. I've got all my hit points, so I can certainly be more aggressive here. Probably could have switched over to AP when we get up to this easy 8 here, and hadn't been able to pen him, but I left it on HE, and you'll see here goes into the tracks, and we only do 837. Hellcat, you know, really probably could have just rammed him for the kill there, but he's got a slow turret, and I'm hoping I can at least get this guy a ram kill. That Hellcat just completely blew that situation. And so we get reloaded. HE 3501 in damage, 4 kills. You know, and that's how you play this tank. You go for the soft, juicy shots as much as possible. To get 7 shots off in a game in this tank is difficult. It doesn't happen very often. All right, so here's another game. Bottom tier on Port Bay, also Supremacy. Again, team calls for C. I'm okay with that. Sounds good to me, but you can see here they're all rushing down to A. You know, I've had a couple games lately where, I mean, people have actually typed out, like, C. I'll go to C, and I'm the only one there. So really got to pay attention to that mini-map. You know, I really want some of these soft, juicy targets over here that are going to be at C. KV-1S gets spotted. So I'm just going to go ahead and back down and wait for him to cross through here. Finish him off. 304 on the first shot for a kill. Bulldog there is pushed up hard. He's a nice, juicy target for me. So just trying to stay behind some rocks and buildings here so that he doesn't have an easy shot at me. I figure they're going to be coming around the side here, so want to get this shot to go in. Sure enough, 633 for the kill. There's a tight 58, so we're going to drop adrenaline now and help out a little bit with this reload. We're now down to 10 seconds. Got some help to my right, not a lot. Just trying not to push too far. He's going to come over the top, but he's not going to have gun depression to get down here. But I guess he's on some sort of... He's on that car up there, so he's taking 2 big shots now. And I'm probably not going to try that a third time. So he's going to run away, which is fine by me. On my long, painful reload and a slow, heavy tank getting up this hill. The team's done a good job here now with getting A and B. It's going to be critical to the end of this game. But I really don't want to waste my shot on that tight 58. He gets taken out, which is good. Obviously, you want, you know, tanks with 500 hit points to be able to shoot at. You really don't want to waste it on a shot like this. We can just throw an HE shot just about anywhere in there is going to kill him. And so here's another issue with this tank. You're really going to find some spots where you can get cover and be able to get shots in once you are reloaded here. So I'm in a little bit of a difficult situation. We've got the Kuro on one side, and we've reloaded. Shoot HE into the side, 541. And we're able to back down behind that rock and bounce both of those shots. SU here way too aggressive, and he is taken out. Things are looking good, you know. We've got 4-on-2 tank lead, and really not confident any of those are going to penetrate, so I have to go with splash damage, and we only do 350. And now it's 2-on-2. We've got all 3 bases, though, and now it's 2-on-1. So anyway, speed this up. We've got 2 bases. not much they can do to stop us at this point in time, and we do manage to cap out. Not sure why that Vindicator had full health. So here we are, 2431 of damage, 4 kills, good for level 1 mastery. I don't know where that Vindicator was hiding all this game, but you can see there 6 shots. Like I said, it's going to be hard to get 7 shots a game. Alright, so here's another game. This time we're on Canal, and bottom tier again. And one of the things you'll notice with this KV-2 is you really got to learn some different spots that work for the peek-a-boom type play style it requires. So I'm not a big fan of going all the way right, just because you're exposed for so long, and if they're going the same direction, which it looks like they are, and you get lit up, you're gonna have 4 or 5 tanks all shooting at you before you can get cover. So you can see here I've kind of chosen a rather difficult spot, just because of my 8 degrees of gun depression. But the nice thing about this spot is I'm down in a hole, and I can pull up here, get my shot off, and then back down to safety really quickly. So we're basically waiting just to see where people are spotted. I've only gotten 2 tanks spotted so far. We've taken out 1, and here they are now on our left, which is kind of where I was hoping they would come from, and I could protect this flank. So Helsing, take an HE shot, 421, and back down the hill. Drop adrenaline, because obviously they're rushing hard now, and I've only got the guys behind me. We're just peeking our nose over this hill, trying to get reloaded, trying to spot them, trying to stay behind this bush as much as possible. Nashorn, no armor, 834. Sorry, buddy. Back down. You know, now I'm relatively safe down here unless someone comes down and wants to go one-on-one. Cromwell spots me there, but he is headed straight to our 3 tanks down there. Helsing will finish you off, 579. And this is where it really comes important to remember what your damage per shot is. Obviously the HE is 960, but that is based upon penetrating under 100 millimeters. Your AP, you're going to do 960. You see here, with AP I can't penetrate. HE, at least I'm going to get 369 splash damage. And I'm able here, as you can see, to able back down to safety. So, you know, in all of these 3 games, I have not done a lot of driving. I found a spot or area on a map, and used the terrain to my advantage. You can see here comes an SP1C. Barely got enough gun depression here. 662. I mean, you know, so that's the fun of this game and why you like to play it. And we finished with 2865 in damage. And 3 kills there. Helped clear a couple missions, and we made some nice money. This time we landed 5 shots. So like I said, you know, that's probably going to be a fairly high number, 5 or 6. Alright guys, so I got a couple clips from a few games here. We've got the Panther coming around. Get a nice shot into the side, and really in these clips I just wanted to highlight that you know, the games that I did show were overall good games. Really nothing frustrating happened in those games, but here we are, we're reloading. We've got a Panther lined up. We can get a shot in. HE will finish him off. I get tracked, and as I'm aiming, I miss. I hit the rock there, and then get lit up by 2 or 3 more shots, and we're left with 62 hit points. You know, and those are the things that will happen to you in this tank. Luckily that KV-2 gets taken out, and we're going to go ahead and reload here. everyone's focusing in on the other KV-2, and we finish off that Type 58 for 700 hit points. Again, here our team is split in a supremacy game, gets 600 hit points into the side of that VK. Back around the building, you can see half our team's over here. The other three all flanked around and got jumped, and now we're down 3 tanks, and I still haven't reloaded. Decide to pull up onto this area, and of course you're not going to get a sniping shot in this tank, so take my shot on the VK as he comes around, bounces, and we back down, having taken 1 shot for our attempt at that. And now I've got a nice shot on this MT25, but again, halfway through my reload, still got 7 seconds left to go, and I'm trying to help keep this KV-1 alive. MT's coming through here, take my shot, but it's just behind the guy. He's too fast, and so there's a couple frustrating shots in there that are gonna waste an entire minute of this game without me doing any damage. And right before that mastery game, I'm not afraid to admit it, but the 2 previous games to that one were 0 games each. One was a supremacy game where they called a direction. I went that direction and found out the rest of my team did not. And the other was just one of those games where 2 or maybe 3 shots bounced and just didn't have any luck whatsoever. So here we are, nice shot into the VK. Obviously reloading that. Anko is going to think twice about coming into a KV-2, which is always nice even when you're on the reload. And so we're just trying to back up and keep the team all in front of us if at all possible. And then you run into something frustrating, and if you miss 1 or 2 shots in this tank, it's pretty much going to cost you the game. Here's this Kuro, nice shot into the side, and we go ahead and take our shot, and he stops and goes straight into the tracks for 0 damage. So I can totally understand why people say love-hate relationship with this tank, because it's fun when it works, and it's painful when it doesn't. Again, here's one last game, couple shots in it. Obviously, we're going to pull up the hill here. The Leo's down there, 442 finishes him off. And then you run into some shots that are just completely lucky, and you have no there's no reason you should make a shot like this. So I'm pulling back over the hill. I'm going to aim for that KV-2 over there. He is, let's see, 400 or 500 meters away. Take that HE shot, 306 points. But here comes the ARL in the same game, coming down the hill. Got a shot right on the top of his roof. Doesn't pen. No damage. But we're going to come back down, and we're going to be reloaded by the time he's killed the other KV-2. Well, no, I guess that was ARL he was up against. And I'm going to get this shot into the side with AP for 511 damage. So anyway, yeah, it's hit or miss to me. If I'm going to drive a derp gun, I would rather have the SU-152. I just think it's a better tank overall. But anyway, guys, hope you learned a few tricks there. Remember, have fun with this game. As always, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.